Hello, still on Unit 7 Assignment 2. Now moving on to Article 4, Freedom from Slavery and Forced Labour. So basically this is similar to what I just covered, not the same but similar. Slavery is when basically you own like someone's property or possessions, and servitude is similar because you're working for them. Even though they don't own you, they won't let you leave, you have to work for them. So forced labour basically means that you are forced to work and you have not agreed to it. There could be a threat of punishment or injury or death, but usually there is a threat when this happens. So then, the violation here, it's you can't own another person. There's a right to freedom. So this breaks that one as well. And basically, it's the same as what used to be in America when white supremacists believed that they were over the they were better than the coloured people and the black people. So they basically used them as slaves, owned them, made them farm in cotton fields and be basically their housemaids and raise their children for them and do everything for them. So since then, obviously, they've realised that it's wrong, but some people still believed in that sort of way. This is where the UN, have set up Universal Declaration of Human Rights to make slavery illegal. They also make it widespread that the punishment for this should be imprisonment because it is wrong. They make a point that it's not actually the way that you think. It's actually a crime for slavery to occur and forced labour. It's basically like false imprisonment. So then the EU, they work together to cut down on stuff like drug trafficking and slave trading and all of those sorts of things. So they will work together, cut down the main ones. Obviously, if someone's just got one slave, then the EU and the UN might not know about it. But if there's an industry to do with it, then they'll be there straight away trying to cut that down, trying to cut it out and see how they can prevent stuff like that. So then, the European Court of Human Rights, they've made slavery illegal, and basically they see it as a very serious offence. So they've made it a human right for everyone in Europe, every country in Europe, to not allow slavery. They've also made it in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights across the whole world that one of the rights, that there's illegal slave, like right to freedom and not be enslaved. So they work together in order to create rights for the local police and local services to be able to cut down on that happening. So that's the way that they deal with it. Also, liberty. They work together to ensure that everybody has freedom. That's the way that they try and work, and they will campaign for that and they will protest for that. So moving on to Article 5, liberty and security. So then, everyone has the right to be liberty and security. Everyone has the right to liberty and security, of a person. So nobody should be deprived of liberty, because that is it's lawful detention of a person after conviction by a competent court. So basically, you can't be held when you shouldn't be. So if there's no reason for you to be detained by the court or by the police, then it is illegal, as you've got the human right to be able to carry on if you're not arrested. So they can't detain you without reasoning and without any of that. So where's this happened? this has happened in the past, a lot to do with racism, to be honest. You hear about it. Coloured people and foreign people all being arrested and imprisoned and took to court, especially in America before the Civil War, because they basically stood no chance of being right, even if there was 100% proof in the coloured person being correct and not have done anything wrong. They still stood a very slim chance of actually winning the court case and being freed, which they rightly should have. But this is where the UN have made policies, so it's illegal for any police or court to detain someone without any reason. So then they're allowed to be free within society, apart from one's behaviour and political views. So that is, if you're going around destroying stuff, that's a behaviour problem and you'll be arrested and imprisoned for that. Another one is a political view. So if you believe that say a terrorist group is right, then you can be imprisoned for that, and if not, you possibly risking thousands of lives with the terror attacks which you could commit. So then the European Court of Human Rights, they've set up rights to ensure that everybody's lawfully detained, so there's a reason for it, and that everybody has a fair trial, which I'll go on to in a bit. Amnesty International, so they prevent people from being in prison due to being unlawfully detained and unlawful reasoning. So this could be that there's a foreigner who doesn't speak very good English, yet they might think, oh, he's nothing to do with the United Kingdom. He might not be a UK citizen, but he could be, and that's where Amnesty International come in, and they really give the person some strength to be actually be able to deal with the situation correctly and not just be accused of certain things when they haven't done anything wrong. So then moving on to the next one, which is quite similar once again, Article 6, a right to a fair trial. So a fair trial is basically means just separating the guilty from the innocent. So in the court, which it's most likely in the court system and the justice system where it's most likely going to be held, fair trial, they will question witnesses and they'll question the person and they'll develop evidence. If there's no evidence, then the person will most likely be released. If there is evidence, then he will be detained and then sentenced as proven guilty. But this prevents things like false imprisonment and being imprisoned for no reason, and it stops people from being sent to jail when they haven't done anything wrong. So then, the right to a fair trial is one of the cornerstones and one of the main bases in society, in a just society, because if you get accused of something, if you haven't done it, and you get to jail for it, then that's not just. Whereas if you've done something, yet nobody's accused you, then you get away with it. So this is where the court justice system brings you to a just conclusion and whether you should be imprisoned or not. So this is where Amnesty International helps, because it empowers the person on trial. Because if it's not a fair trial, they'll make sure that it is, and they will also note everything down of what the person has been committed for and whether that is actually reasoning to be imprisoned or not. So it will reduce the trial just being because of prejudice or discrimination. So